What does the word dyslexia mean to you? Do you think dyslexics can't read or see everything backwards? Well, that's partially true. We have trouble reading, but with a lot of hard work, we eventually learn. Words jump around the page, and we write letters backwards sometimes. No two dyslexics are the same. It's like individuals, like fingerprints. Some have trouble reading, some writing, and some math. Some have all of those. Some have trouble keeping things in a sequence. For example, telling a story in order can be a real challenge. When I was little, I had the worst time learning to read. And math, forget it. I was disorganized. Papers were always flying out of my backpack, and most never even made it home. I thought I was keeping track of things I obviously wasn't. You can imagine how frustrating that would be. Teachers did not understand why I couldn't get it together. I tried twice as hard as everyone else, and I was getting half as far. If I had to say the most frequent phrase I heard in my elementary classroom, it would be, "No, you can't," or "That's wrong," or "Go sit down." I went to public school at the time, and I didn't understand that I had a learning disability and other challenges that disrupted my academics. I even got detention for being disorganized. Although the time was rough, I always had a goofy side. I would love to wear crazy sunglasses. I loved to dress up and have my friends over. I was a social butterfly. My family knew there was a big gap between my peers and me. They also knew that all I wanted was to understand and learn like they did, but I wasn't. When I was in 3rd grade, my teacher did not know what to do with me. I had to go through many tests: reading, writing, math, everything. We hoped the school would be able to determine from all these tests what my learning challenges were, but instead they said I had a low IQ. Man, that hurt. I was confused because my parents and I knew I was smart. I just didn't know how to think anymore. This bad news only pushed my family deeper. My parents disagreed with that conclusion and sent the report to the pediatrician, who said the same thing, and the weird thing is, he never even met me. After that, we switched pediatricians and went to the Yale Child Study Center for a reassessment. When I was tested there, that's when my true successful life started. Finally, I had the answers that would unlock my true potential. The diagnosis they gave me was dyslexia, ADHD, and ADD. Dyslexia is defined as an unexpected difficulty in learning despite intelligence, motivation, and education. That's me. ADHD is I can be hyper, impulsive, and super talkative. ADD means I have a hard time paying attention. Great combo, right? I prefer to look at the positive side. I'm really outgoing. I can keep track of 7 things at once, and I can pull all-nighters without coffee. This is when I switched schools and went to Eagle Hill Southport. Now is called the Southport School, because they have the ability to help me adjust in learning with dyslexia. Not only they taught me how to read and write well, they taught me how I can learn and tell my future teachers what I need to be successful. Being able to advocate for yourself is one of the most important ingredients in life, not just for dyslexics. It turns out the doctors at Yale Child Study Center were right and everyone else was wrong. What I learned from this experience is to never stop fighting, even when things seem hopeless. One of my favorite quotes from Scott Shannon is, "I didn't succeed despite my dyslexia, but because of it. It doesn't have to be a deficit if you use it to your advantage." Although there are trade-offs that require I learn creatively and smarter in writing, reading, and speaking, I would never wish to be any other way than my awesome self. I love being me, regardless to the early challenges I have faced. I remember one time at Eagle Hill, I went home and saw tulips coming up in the garden. There were golden ones and red. I said to my mom, I was the red one at my old school, but at EHS, we're all the same. We get each other. At that point, my mom started to cry, and I didn't really understand why. We've learned that I learn the best when I experience something, hands-on, and when I can see or hear things, rather than just reading them. After learning all I could at EHS, I found my way to Umpqua, and I'm so grateful for this school. It's been such a great experience because they get me here too. We do projects and labs, and the teacher understands that I need to take a different approach in learning, and they're okay with that. Now I'm getting honors, going on cool trips like the Dominican, and setting goals I knew I would never set. And don't get me wrong, it's not easy. I still have to work very hard, even every day. But I'm still like any other normal kid, trying to balance playing sports, hanging out with my friends, and getting all my homework done. Now, looking back, I'm so grateful that I have a family that wanted to fight, because they knew I didn't have a low IQ. They knew I knew how to think. I just don't take tests well. They knew I would be fine. We travel a lot because it's such a great way to learn about different ways of life. We've been to Alaska, Hawaii, California, Europe, Canada, the Caribbean, Utah, and lots more. If I read about those places in a book, then took a test, I probably wouldn't pass. But if I've been there and experienced it, I could tell you every detail about it, right down to what it smelled like, what our tour guide was wearing, or even what time it was. In closing, I wouldn't change being dyslexic for the world. It makes me who I am. It's taught me to be persistent. I'm so used to hearing, no, you can't do that, that's made me stronger and more resilient. There's a reason why 30% of the entrepreneurs are dyslexic. We don't give up. I'm in good company because Albert Einstein, Leonardo da Vinci, and Thomas Edison were dyslexic, and it's claimed that Einstein couldn't read until the age of 9, and Edison made 1,000 unsuccessful attempts of making the light bulb. When a reporter asked him, how did it feel to fail 1,000 times? Edison replied, I didn't fail 1,000 times. The light bulb was an invention with 1,000 steps. I cannot wait to see what the world brings me, or what I'll bring to the world, but I know I'll be ready. And I would just like to say, Mom, Dad, Andrew, I never got the chance to say this, but thank you. Thank you so much for what you have done between school, extra help, sports, and just believing in me. So I'm going to ask the same question that I did in the beginning. What do you guys think when you hear the word dyslexic?